Verse 48 of Surah Al-Ankabut speaks to us of one of the characteristics of our Holy Prophet. That characteristic was that, of course, he did not write or read. And the Quran says that, Ya Rasulullah, you would not write anything, وَلَا تَخُطُّهُ بِيَمِينِكَ, you would not write anything with your own hands, because if you had done that, there would have been people who would have doubted your message. So then the verses continue, verse 49, 50, 51. There are people who used to come to the Prophet and say, Ya Rasulullah, show us a miracle. Show us something that proves your prophethood. And verse 51 says, أَوَلَمْ يَكْفِهِمْ, is it not enough for them, أَنَّا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ يُتْلَى عَلَيْهِمْ, that we sent down this book to you. So this is a lesson for you and I, brothers and sisters, because a lot of times as we go through life, doubts might seep into our mind and we might think, is this religion truly the religion I'm supposed to follow? And where are God's miracles? Why doesn't God show me greater miracles? Maybe if he had shown me greater miracles, I would have believed in him more. This Quran that we have in front of us, just imagine that the Quran says, you were a person who could not read or write, and somehow you came up with a book that those who can read and write, like you and me, it takes us days and days to just read this book. I want you to think about that for a second. Set aside, someone might claim that the Quran is a miracle because of the depth that it has, and because it speaks about the day of judgment and the depth of the existence of the human being. We're setting that aside, all of that aside. A person who could not read or write, he brought to you not 1 page, not 2 pages, not 3 pages. He's brought to you 600 pages of content. Many of us will never even write 200 pages in our whole lives. Somehow, some way, this person brought forth 600 pages of content. And forget about the depth. Let's just say when you read the verses of the Quran, they are sentences that make sense. We can all agree on that at least, right? Someone might say it's not so deep, so on and so forth. That's fine. At the very least, it makes sense. This is a miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A person who everybody agrees was illiterate, right? Who couldn't read and write, who was never schooled at least to read and write. And the Quran is in front of us. So anytime we have doubts of this sort, we have to come back to these verses of the Quran. And the Quran tells the disbelievers, stop asking for miracles. This Quran, yutla alayhim, it's being recited upon them, and they keep asking for more miracles. This is the greatest of all miracles. How did we have an illiterate servant of ours come up with 600 something pages of content? So much content that if most Muslims, one might argue, has not even read the whole thing once in their lifetimes. So imagine a person who's illiterate coming up with something like this. This is clearly a miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.